So one of the hardest conversations we ever had to have as a married couple was to look each other in the eyes and say, look, we shouldn't have gotten married.
Yeah, I feel like our timing was completely off. And to be honest, it almost ended our marriage before we even got married. Hey guys, welcome back to the Relationship Podcast, episode 3. I'm Asha Steele.
I'm Devin Steele.
And we're super excited for you guys to be here with us today.
Yes, sir.
But before we get into the podcast, we just want to say thank you so much for all the feedback you guys been giving to us from social media to even the feedback on our actual podcast to the reviews and ratings. We really appreciate it. I know that we had a couple 2 stars.
1 star. No, we had no 2 star. We had 2.
Oh, 1 star.
1 star.
I don't know what that was all about.
Nah, but that's cool with me. I just asked if you leave a rating, to just leave a review. Let us know what we can improve on, because at the end of the day, we created this podcast to really help you guys. So we want to cater our content and our message to really be beneficial to you. Although I know it's probably 2 of Asha's exes hating on us. No, we ain't going to pay that too much mind. But just your reviews really help us make this podcast better so that we can help you guys as much as possible.
Exactly.
And also, we had a really good suggestion from one of our listeners who asked us to do recaps at the end of each episode. So if you have questions or you want us to go more in depth about a topic we discussed on one of our podcasts, reach out to us. You can email us at questions@REALationships.podcast.com, and we'll have an episode every week where we just answer people's questions. If, like I said, if you want us to go more in depth on a topic, or if you have suggestions like this listener did, well, we always willing to listen to some of the suggestions you have to make this podcast as good as possible.
Yeah, we're all for it. We want to spread love and positivity, so give us all the feedback. We need it, okay? So what else do we want to get into today?
Oh, we got to tell them about our Valentine's Day giveaway.
Yes, it's super exciting. You know, Valentine's Day is like right around the corner. Yep. It's just the new year. But, you know, time flies. It flies by. And it's about to be Valentine's Day in a few weeks. So we wanted to go ahead and give you guys a giveaway. We're giving the giveaway on social media. So if you're following us on Asha Steele, Still in the Game, or the Relationship Podcast, make sure you go in there to see the description of everything you need to do to enter to win the giveaway, which we're giving a $200 gift certificate, gift card to a restaurant for dinner for 2.
A 5-star restaurant.
Yes.
An upscale restaurant in whatever city you live in. Yeah. You can visit the REALationshippodcast.com. We have a header up there that says Valentine's Day giveaway. It'll give you all the directions so you can follow through with that and then enter the contest and win.
Yeah. So ladies, fellas.
No, especially fellas. Let me talk to the fellas real quick, because we've had a lot of, the women enter this contest, and I don't know if the dudes ain't doing it because of y'all pride, but listen, y'all need to put y'all pride to the side. Get this $200 dinner so you can spoil your lady. Take the money that you was going to spend to take her out to eat and put it towards her gift. Buy her a better gift. Or put the money away, save for your house, your car, whatever you guys got going on. Just make sure the fellas step up and enter this contest.
Yes.
So you can treat your woman on Valentine's Day.
Exactly. Who don't want a free dinner?
I would. If y'all have a contest, let me know, because I'm entering it. I'm frugal. I'm cheap. I like to save money. So if y'all have a contest out there, let me know, because I love to enter contests.
You know what? See, so we also, let's talk about it being New Year's. We kind of skipped over it. We have a lot.
Just passed.
Yeah, it's probably a few days into the new year, and it's a lot to discuss.
What is today's date?
I think it's the 3rd, right?
I think it is. We're at the 3rd already. It's like we just watched the ball drop.
Exactly.
And we're at the 3rd already. So, New Year's, everybody has these big goals that they set for themselves. What's one of the goals? So we can hurry up and hop into our important topic today. Let us know what's one of your goals for this new year.
I would just say I have a lot of goals, of course, but just the most important one is just to stay consistent and whatever it is that I'm doing. I feel like a lot of times, especially when you're going into the new year, you see a lot of people like, oh, I have a New Year's resolution. I want to lose weight. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you start to just like have this momentum couple weeks in the new year. And then come February, March, it's like you done forgot about it. So I just want to stay consistent in everything that I put my mind to that I want to do and just go for it.
What's one specific goal, though, that you want to stay consistent with?
My one specific goal, probably my most important one, is probably my fitness goal.
Okay. Don't worry. I got her with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that body right.
You know what? So y'all be checking out for this, summer bod.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to see what happens.
Okay. My goal, I have a lot of goals this year, but probably the biggest one, because I've been waiting for this for a long time, is helping Leah get to that 5-year mark. Because like most of you guys know, Leah got diagnosed in 2014 with stage 4 cancer. And, when we were first told that it would take 5 years in order for her to be cancer free, it was discouraging because it seemed like it was so far away, but it's here. Like, it's a couple of months away. So one of my biggest goals is just to get Leah to that day, March 25th, and then have, our annual gala that we have, but raise the most money we ever did so that we can continue to support all the other families who are out there battling childhood cancer. So that's my big goal for this year.
Okay. So you guys,
we want to hear some of you guys' goals. So let us know. Reach out to us on Instagram, on YouTube, wherever you guys follow us at. Reach out to us. Let us know what some of your goals are. Maybe we can help with some of your goals. You never know. Just let us know. Shoot us a text or something, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah. So getting into what we're discussing today is a good one.
It's a hard one. This is the one where I didn't know whether we wanted to be this real. Right?
I mean, it's the Real Relationship Podcast. We
didn't know
so
we wanted to get this real, but we just hope by sharing this episode with you guys, it helps a lot of people who are, maybe engaged, thinking about getting engaged, or close to being married. We just think that this episode can really help out a lot of people. So go ahead and lay it on them.
So this one is called "We Shouldn't Have Got Married or Gotten Married."
Yeah,
we shouldn't have gotten married.
No, we're glad we did, but we shouldn't have gotten married when. Meaning
the timing that we got married, not like, oh, I should never marry this man right here, but just the timing.
Have you ever thought that?
Of when we got married?
Have you ever thought that?
No.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
So yes. So basically, you want to start as to why?
Yeah. So, like a lot of you guys came to know us when our family made national headlines when I was playing with the Cincinnati Bengals, and Leah had got diagnosed with cancer. And during that time, it was a bit of a whirlwind. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just so much going on in our family. Just to take you guys back a little bit about how me and Asha even got engaged. I had met Asha in 2012, and just, I feel like for men, it doesn't really take you that long to know that you want to marry the woman that you're talking to. And I kind of always had that feeling early on, because it was like different with Asha, because a lot of girls I was talking to them for one specific reason, and it was just to have fun. Like, I didn't want to text all the time. I didn't want to talk on the phone. I didn't want to do none of that. I just wanted to have my fun and then be on my way. But when it came, you don't need to go. You don't need to do all that. But Asha was just like, it was different because for some reason, I always wanted to talk to her. I always wanted to text her. When I had a break from practice, I would call her. We would Skype every day. We'd stay on the phone all night. Every time I had a break and I got to go back home to Delaware, we would hang out together. It was just something different about her that made me always want to be around her. So I kind of knew that it was something special about her. But then when we ended up going back to church, our pastor said something to me. Like, I don't know, like he put the pressure on me because me and Asha had got baptized, and one time we were sitting in the church and he just walks up to me and he's like, if you're not going to stop playing with her and get married, leave her alone. And when he said that, I was like, why would you do this right in front of her? Like, why would you put the pressure on me, like, right in front of her? But it was like he put the battery in my back at that time. It was like he was confirming what I already knew, that it was something special about Asha, that she was placed in my life for a reason. So, like, the wheels in my head just started turning, like, man, maybe I need to man up and, stop playing these games where you're just running around trying to sleep with all these different women and having fun. Like I said in the last podcast that we had, like marriage wasn't the cool thing when I was growing up. So the idea of marriage just really started to, spin in my mind all the time. And I started to make, moves, taking her out to look at different rings, acting like I was, helping one of my friends who was getting engaged as well. And when Leah got diagnosed with cancer, I was like, I started to see the way that Asha really cared for Leah and me. And I knew that mentally I wasn't going to be there in our relationship. Like I knew the type of battle that we was up against. And I decided that I wanted to show Asha just how serious I was about her and our relationship. And then I popped the big question. And then it was like Leah's battle with cancer just really took over us. And we started to become more distant in our relationship because, like I said, I wasn't mentally there. And you can touch on more about what we went through that time period that really like put a wedge in our relationship.
So I would basically say, of course, to me, I feel like the timing of us getting engaged was, like we discussed, probably not ideal. Right. Just because, in my mind and in most people's mind, when you get engaged, it's like a happy moment. Like you're happy, you're excited, you're ready to, to go right into planning the wedding, even though you don't have a date set or nothing. Like you want to get the ball rolling. And so at that time, it was none of that. Like everything was pretty much on hold just because we didn't know what the outcome would be with Leah. We were just entering into her battle. So it was just like there was no end of anything in sight. We had no clue what we was about to get into. So the idea of even thinking about a wedding or thinking about marriage was just like so far-fetched. And so although I loved him, I wanted to be with him. And of course I said yes, because some women don't, but it was
that would have broke my heart.
It was just like in my mind, I constantly questioned if it was the right thing to do at the right time, just because who knew what the outcome would have been. Thank God that, Leah pulled through and she got through her battle, but God forbid if something was to go wrong, what would be the outcome for our relationship? What would be the outcome for you as an individual or me as an individual? Because we have encountered so many families who split up pretty much, who were already married and separated or whatever the case may be, because going through something like that, it takes a toll on not just the person who has cancer or the person who's sick, but the entire family. So just knowing all of that, it was just like, dang, like, do I really want to just like enter into this? Is this really the right time? And like, are we thinking in our right state of mind? You know what I mean? Because this marriage is not going to be our focus right now. Our relationship is not going to be our focus right now. Right. And so I battle with that a lot of the times, although I spoke with like friends or family members and everyone would tell me just to, pray and be strong and stick in it. And I knew for myself that I didn't want to just leave Devin just there alone, because like you said, we were both in Cincinnati and I seen what a lot of people didn't see, him going through behind closed door with that. So it was just like I wasn't going to just up and leave him, but I just felt like, the timing was wrong. We wasn't focused on each other the way we should have been entering into a marriage.
Yeah, because like Asha said, she saw a lot of stuff that people didn't see. Like I tried to be as transparent as possible when I was on camera doing interviews and stuff, but it's certain things that you see with a person when you spend time with them every day, when you're behind closed doors. And like I told people before, like there would be weeks where me and Asha would go without showing any type of affection, like no hugging, no kissing. It felt like we was roommates. It felt like we were existing on our own, because I was just so mentally damaged from, number one, my daughter battling cancer, and then number two, me having to be 500 miles away from her because I needed the health insurance and the money in order to pay for her treatment. So it was just a lot going on, and it really drove a wedge between us. Yeah. But after about a year, Leah goes into remission, and we end up winning the ESPY Award. And during my speech at the ESPY Awards, I talked about how I was going to, give Asha the wedding of her dreams. And when I got off the stage, a couple of days later, we ended up getting a phone call from the Knot, who offered to give us a dream wedding. So it was like we were just thrown right into wedding planning. Yeah. And we didn't really take time to heal from all the damage that had taken place the past year, which really wasn't a smart move on our behalf.
Yeah, I feel like although we were so thankful for the night, we had an amazing wedding. Mm-hmm. If y'all haven't watched the clip, y'all make sure y'all watch it. It was beautiful. It was definitely a dream wedding. Nothing that I could have thought of myself. No. Nothing that I did think of myself, but it was beautiful. But like Devin said, I feel like a lot of people, and correct me if I'm saying it wrong, like people say like people focus so much on the wedding and put so much attention into the wedding and not into the marriage. And at that moment, I felt like that was what we were doing, because it was just like, we were on this roller coaster ride and we had been down for so long, and then we just had an uphill of just happiness, excitement, and we was like, okay, this feels great. The momentum is good. Where Leah is, back on track. Everything was just going great. But our relationship, it was like we were just pretty much pushing everything under the rug and just walking over it. Yeah. And we just didn't lift it up and sweep everything out, clear it out, and just make sure, the rug was laid flat before we just started to go. And so doing that wasn't helpful to our relationship at all, because a lot of the issues that we had beforehand that we didn't get to hash out, a lot of issues that came about during Leah's battle and that time frame came about. So it was just so many things that started to just surface and just pile up on top of everything else that made everything seem so much bigger than what it may have been if we would have just talked about it and took things slowly. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that kind of caused a lot of tension in the beginning phase of our, newlywed stage, where a lot of people say, oh, you're still in the newlywed stage, you're on cloud 9, it feels so great. But I feel like
we started off our marriage where somebody might be 20 years down the road.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like we went through a lot so much so young.
Yeah.
And it was like
without any guidance.
Yeah. So it was that's like we were just guiding ourselves.
If we would have had guidance, there would have been people that be like, hey, I get it, you guys got offered the dream wedding, but maybe you guys should take time to just reconnect.
Right.
And really heal from what you went through, because what y'all went through was serious. And if you take that all that weight into your new marriage, it's going to be hard. Like we said in the last podcast, we didn't really have that growing up. We didn't have an idea of what a good marriage was. We probably went to premarital counseling, 2 times, or was that 1 time?
It was twice.
Twice. Yeah. It wasn't effective at all. Like the type of stress, the type of things that we went through in those 2 years.
We needed like 2 years.
2 years worth of counseling, because like Asha said, we didn't start really working through our issues and our problems until we were, married. And when you start off your marriage with that type of heavy stuff that we had to go through, it makes it hard for the marriage to last. But we found a way to make it through it because we loved each other that much. We cared about each other that much that we just fought through that adversity early on in our marriage. And we want to, share some of those steps with you guys so that you don't have to go through what we went through. Like, one of the reasons why we try to be transparent and be as open as possible is because we want your marriage to succeed. We want your relationship to succeed, and we don't want you to have to learn by going through what we went through. Just learn from our mistakes so that you can create a healthy and better relationship for yourself. But I remember, to go a little bit more in depth, I remember we had a conversation one time. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you had said to me, because I'll be honest, a lot of my focus during those 2 years was on doing everything I could to support Leah, right? I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't worried about my football career. I wasn't worried about our relationship. I wasn't putting a lot of focus in on anything but Leah. But I remember you sat me down and you said something that like really opened my eyes about, I believe you asked me, how come I never sat you down and asked you what you've been through in those 2 years? Do you remember that conversation? When you was like, you shared a lot of your stuff on, your interviews. You talked about what Leah was going through. How come you never asked me how I felt during that time? Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah.
Remember what you said?
I don't remember exactly what I said.
Yeah, but I think that she sat me down and she asked me that question. And that was the first time it really hit me. This was after we were already married. And I was like, man, I never did sit Asha down and find out how she felt throughout all that time, because she took on a lot and she didn't have anybody in Cincinnati with her. Of course, I had the team. I was going to work every day, but Asha was at the house and there was nobody there to really support her through that dark time, and we never really talked about it. But when she said that to me, that's when I knew we needed to start healing, what we've been through. And we took a couple of steps that we want to share with you guys today. So,
but before you get into that, I just wanted to kind of throw in there also, like, I feel like a lot of times, just like when people are getting engaged, from a woman's standpoint, you get engaged and you kind of want to just, you're happy, right? You're happy, or maybe, you're not so happy. Maybe you're in a situation similar to ours and you just want to get into the phase of, planning and going about your, planning your wedding and getting everything done. I feel like it's absolutely nothing wrong with taking time and taking, if that means a few years, a few months, whatever the case may be, to really still get to know your partner. Right. You know what I mean? If that man or woman, whoever, chose to propose to you, then make sure that you are doing what y'all need to do to make sure that your marriage is A1. Like, that's very crucial. And I feel like a lot of people stress so much, like, oh, I got engaged, and they put a time limit on when they should get married or how long it should be. Yeah. Like, I don't feel like you need to stress that, because if you're thinking about marriage is a lifetime. If you're doing it for the right reasons, it's a lifetime. So you shouldn't feel like you need to rush into that. You need to make sure that everything is together for y'all. So take that time while y'all still still engaged, to still grow, get to know each other. And that's what we're getting into, the steps of what you need to do. But don't be ashamed if it's taking longer than what's expected, because it was at a point where I felt like, oh, I had no clue when we were going to get into that phase. You know what I mean? And at times I was like, okay, God forbid if something happens, will we ever get to that phase? So don't be ashamed of the time frame from the time you get engaged to the time you get married. Just make sure that y'all growing and y'all continuing to love each other and build y'all foundation, because if that person that proposed to you wants to be with you, they are going to make sure they do whatever it takes to make sure that y'all solid. So that's the most important thing that y'all need to focus on.
Yeah, and don't let other people get in your head telling you need to hurry up and get married, because there be people like, girl, how long you gonna let him just be engaged in you? And they don't even be married themselves. So you can't take advice from people who ain't engaged, people who ain't married. You just can't take advice from them. That should be between you and your partner, right? Y'all should have an understanding of, the process that you guys are going to take in order to prepare yourself for marriage. And like Asha said, don't put so much more focus on the wedding than you do the marriage, because the marriage is what's important. The wedding only lasts a day, and ours went by so fast.
Oh, so fast.
I don't even remember a lot of it. I remember our vows, saying I do. But as far as the reception and stuff, I don't remember a lot of it. Yeah. We spent so much time on picking out the food. We didn't get to eat it because everybody was taking pictures with us. It was crazy. So don't put a lot of attention on the wedding. Put it on your marriage.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, like, what is something that you think a couple should do before they get married?
So the first thing that I think that you should do, the most important thing to me, it seems like, is counseling. Like I said, if you're marrying someone, it's for a lifetime. Right. You're going to spend the rest of your life, God willing, with that individual. Mm-hmm. So that person went through a lot of things before you. You went through a lot of things before that person. Y'all may have gone through a lot of things together. So it's a lot that you need to hash out before you sit down and decide that you want to take on a life with another individual. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to get to a point where a lot of times when you're in a relationship and it's like this person does one thing wrong and you're ready to walk out the door because you're irritated. You know what I mean? You can't do that when you're married. Like, this is a vow that you make to be committed to this person. And I felt very strongly about that because I feel like we didn't see a lot of, like we said before, healthy marriages. So going into a marriage, I didn't want it to be like, oh, we were just going to be married for a few years and then be divorced. Like, I wanted to be till death do us part.
Right.
So I feel like getting all of that counseling done and hashing out all of, you know, the things that you may need to hash out is essential to make your marriage healthy.
Yeah. And a lot of people have the fear of going to counseling and talking to a stranger, putting all your business out there, wondering if the person's even qualified to give you advice, and you don't really know how their marriage is going. It's tough, but it's definitely necessary. Like, me and Asha had to go through that. We didn't, like we said, we only went to 2 appointments of premarital counseling, but we actually went into marriage counseling after we were married, and then I went through my own personal counseling. And as a man, I'm gonna be straight up, it was hard to really go in front of somebody that I didn't know, a stranger, and allow myself to be vulnerable and share my weaknesses as a man, to share my weaknesses as a spouse. It was tough, but I got the guidance and the necessary information that I needed in order to improve myself. So to all the fellas out there, man, I know that feeling of, you know, not wanting to go to counseling and not really wanting to open up about your problems. But if you care about your spouse as much as you say you do, and you really love them, and you want your marriage to work, man, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah.
What you think? What you think is an important thing?
I think you got to live together.
Live together.
Yeah, I think you got to experience what it's like to live with that person. You know, I hear a lot of people say, you know, you shouldn't play house until you get married. No, play house. Make sure you play house for at least a year to really see how that person is, because it's different. Like, I know y'all have thought some way about a person, whether it's family member, you know, the person you're in a relationship, and then you live with them, and you like, man, this person trifling. Like, I can't spend my life with them. Like, I had to live with Asha early on. I think we started to live together after 2 years of knowing each other.
Yeah, your off season.
Yeah, about 2 years, just to see how she really was, because I'm not about to spend a lifetime with somebody that's just trifling, man. You know what I mean?
And I ain't either. Although it's like, nah, but but no, I think that is important. Not even just for like the cleanliness, just to see how a person interacts, their mannerisms when you're not around them. You know, you're around that person 24/7 pretty much when y'all married, and when y'all living together, y'all around each other 24/7. You get to know them in and out. You know what I mean? They can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna call you back, and you don't know what's going on after that phone hang up. You know what I mean? So getting to know somebody and living with them definitely will help to put things in perspective. Like, okay, can I do this or no?
Yeah.
So.
It saved you a lot of heartache and a lot of headaches.
Right.
And I think the next thing that, you know, people should really talk about or focus on before you get married is the finances.
That's
because
big.
that's the leading cause of
Huge.
Divorce.
Yes.
So just understanding what, like we said, baggage in the last episode, you're bringing into the marriage as far as your debt, like student loan debt, credit card debt. You want to make sure you understand this person's spending habits, because their debts become your debts, and their spending habits are going to affect your household. So being able to talk about finances, talk about the patterns that each individual has about spending, I think is very important, so that you don't become a part of that huge percentage of people who get divorced based off your finances.
Right. And I touch on this personally. I don't want people to think like, oh, if someone does have debt, or if, you know, they do have financial issues, that's like, oh no, run for the clear, run for the door. No, like, everyone has, you know,
if they have bad spending patterns, run for the door.
If they have bad spending, but still, it's something that you can work and talk about. I feel like you need to be able to communicate, like you said, all of that from the beginning. And like you said, if that person comes in with a certain amount of debt or whatever the case may be, hash it out beforehand. Make sure everything is a clear understanding, because y'all trying to build a life together. Y'all trying to hopefully get a home and, you know, build a future for y'all family. So all of that needs to be understood, and y'all needs to be on the same common ground with everything. And like you said, finances can definitely make you butt heads in the future. People, whether it be in a relationship, friendship, whatever the case may be, money is always like the root of evil. Like, it always causes tension and problems. So if you're able to like hash that out from the gate, it's very important for you to do that.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. What do you think of? What else do you think that people should focus on?
So I feel like people expectations of what they're looking for in a relationship or in a marriage. I'll give an example. Pretty much say you go into the marriage thinking that you're going to be living a certain type of life, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just give an example from us, right?
You sure you want to do that?
Yeah. Let's just give a little bit of example. It's not exactly the same, but just say.
Nah, I'm an open book. Go ahead and let them know.
Just say, okay, you know, me and Devin, when we got together, he was in the NFL. He was making great money. I was just, you know, working on myself and getting my.
In case y'all wasn't watching it, that's the sound of me throwing money in the air.
I was just working on building myself, building my business, my brand. So, you know, I was taking care of myself at the time, but it was nowhere compared to what he was making, of course. So, so we were able to do things. We were able to live a certain type of way, go certain places, buy certain things.
But we wasn't really living a certain type of way. We were allowed to do whatever we wanted to do, but we were always frugal. Let me explain
what I'm saying, right? So
that's why I loved her so much, because she was cheap just like me.
In the mindset of someone looking in, they would think that we were living this, you know, luxurious pro athlete lifestyle, pretty much, if they were just assuming, right? If I was that certain type of female where I was automatically attracted to that lifestyle. When he went through what he went through with Leah, and, you know, everything happened with him leaving the team and us going through all those challenges where we had to cut back on all of our finances and spending habits, I would have went for the door. And I feel like a lot of people go into a relationship with a certain expectation, like, oh, this is what it's going to be for me, or this is what I want, or this is what needs to be done. So when real life challenges come about, it's like they ready to just move on to the next because they're not with that person.
They're committed to the situation.
Right. They're not with that person for the right reasons. Or they may have a certain expectation of what they want of that person. And if life happens, then it's like, okay, well, this is not what I wanted. So making sure that you're clear of what your expectations are for that relationship, for that person, and for yourself. Because if you are that person, hopefully you're not. But if you are that person, then you probably ain't going to be with nobody, because life is going to happen to everybody. You know, everybody's going to go through something. But if you are that person, you need to make sure that's a clear understanding between y'all, because if something comes about, now you ready to up and leave and get divorced and all this other stuff, which is not necessary. So making sure your expectations are clear from the gate.
Yeah, I think a easy exercise you can do with your partner is y'all both sit down and y'all write a list. What is a wife to you? Mm-hmm. What do you expect from a wife? What do you expect from a husband? And then exchange the papers and go over that list and start to talk about it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, this is what I do. So you talk about it, about what that person put on the list, and see if it's fair enough for them to expect what they put on that list from you. That way that before you get into a marriage, there's not a lot of arguments like, oh, I thought you were going to do this. I thought you was going to cook. I thought you was going to clean. I thought I was going to be the one going to work and bringing in the money. Like, you want to nip that in the butt ahead of time so that you have a clear understanding of what to expect from your partner when you get married.
Yeah.
Another thing is to discuss your future, I think. Like, how are you going to raise your kids? When are you going to buy a house, which is pretty important? Who's going to take more of the burden, or not burden, who's going to take on more of the responsibility of taking care of the kids? Mm-hmm. Like, these things.
If you want to have kids.
Yeah, if you want to have kids, because like, some people don't want. You may assume that your partner wants to have kids because, you know, that's the American dream, I guess, to, you know, get married, have kids, live in a nice picket fence home and all that other stuff. But some people don't want kids, so you want to make sure that you just discuss those type of things. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to discuss your spirituality, your religion. What are you going to be practicing? What are you going to teach your kids? That's very important, just to have a clear understanding of what your future together is going to be, because you're bringing two lives together. And these two individuals have different outlooks on life. Right. So when you bring the two together, you want to make sure that you guys are doing everything to support each other moving forward.
Yeah. I think probably I don't know, this is another big one for me, but just getting all of your skeletons out of the closet.
Oh gosh.
Which would may kind of go with the counseling, but just more so with you two as individuals, just relieving all of the burden that may be on your shoulders, anything that may be, you know, kept in the dark, secrets that you didn't want to tell nobody that may surface in the future.
Yeah, like what's done in the dark is gonna come to a light.
Yeah, just like getting it all out. And it may not be something that you want to necessarily take to counseling. Maybe it's something that you just want to talk with your partner about and y'all two resolve it together. Right. But just making sure that you get all of that out, because like I said, you are with this person for a lifetime. There's nothing that I should be hiding from my husband, and there's nothing that he should be hiding from me. Like, we should be an open book for each other. Right. Like, so I feel like a lot of times people just have this mindset where they're just like so closed off and sheltered from the person they with. Like, you lay with that person every night. You wake up to that person every morning. Yeah. So what are you hiding from them? Like, that's supposed to be your soulmate. You know what I mean? You're supposed to bear your soul to that individual. Right. So relieve yourself of all the worry and burden of trying to hide something or cover something up. Like, if that person is taking on you, they're going to take on all of that baggage, all of that hurt, all of that pain. Y'all going to work through it together. So just let go, and let God.
Yeah. And because in the day and age of social media, it's you're going to get put out there. Like, somebody's going to come for your relationship. You want to make sure that y'all are glued together, that your spouse, your partner knows everything about you, so nobody can spring anything on them. Like, I think like the other day, Instagram had posted a picture of me and Arya, and somebody wrote on there, if you knew who this man really was, you wouldn't post him. I'm like, what are they talking? Like, my wife know everything about me. Like, I told her everything about me. But it's like stuff like that. I don't even know who this person is. But they put that on there, I guess, to, you know, start some stuff. But it's like, my wife knows all of my skeletons in the closet, so it's nothing you can tell her about me that she doesn't already know. But it's things like that that will try to get in between you and your partner. So it's just important to just lay everything out on the table and then talk your way through it.
Yeah, that's really important.
Do I know everything about you? Because you didn't say...
He knows everything that he knows about me. He needs to know that I need to tell him everything
about her on social media, because I know everything. Don't play with me.
But no, I think that those are like the really big things for when you're going into a marriage, for y'all just to hash out. Like I said, it's very important that you just free yourself of all the extra things. Communicate with your partner. Make sure y'all have a clear understanding. Just make sure everything is just solid. A1. Having a solid foundation is going to help y'all grow to be unstoppable in the future. Right. And like we said, our foundation was very rocky when we got into our marriage. We had to do a lot of
quicksand.
Yeah, we had to do a lot of building from the time that we got married. So that's why we say or title this, we shouldn't have got married when we did, just because we know that we should have grown and gotten to know each other and handled all of the issues that we were going through before we said, you know what, I do. And not to say that we don't want to be married to each other, because we do. We love each other. It's just things that you can fix. She wouldn't be
able to say she doesn't want to be married to me even if she wanted to say that. Be in this for life.
It's just things that you can fix to be proactive before you get into your marriage, so that you can avoid having any, you know, problems, and y'all can just be smooth sailing. Although marriage is not smooth sailing, but as smooth sailing as possible. Yes,
it's more work than it was playing in the NFL, bro.
It is, okay.
No,
it's a lot of work.
Seriously, and to leave y'all with this, man, I was listening to something on YouTube the other day, and they were talking about how, like, you know, as a married couple, each individual, the man has to go out and fight so much in the world, right, to prove himself, to earn a living. A woman has to go out there and fight so much to prove herself, to prove her worth, to earn a living, that when you come home, it should be like a spiritual healing place, like a place that you come to recharge, that you get away from all the fighting and stuff that you're doing out there in the real world. And when you come home, you're just with your partner and you guys are recharging each other's battery to go out there and fight again the next day. And that's why working through these problems before you get married will help put you in a better position to, you know, create that spiritual healing, that charging place for your family as you fight through this thing that we call life. Because like we've been through a lot of ups and downs. And if it wasn't for, you know, Asha for me to lean on. If I wasn't there for her to lean on, we wouldn't have been able to get through a lot of stuff that we were going through. So just put yourself in the best situation as possible to build the strongest union you can possibly do, and just keep it real, man.
Yeah.
Just keep it real. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode 3. Like we said, continue to rate, review, share this podcast with people that you think it will benefit and help through their relationships. Go visit our website, REALationships.com, and make sure you sign up for our Valentine's giveaway. We're only about a month away from Valentine's, so don't be the last person to sign up for and then expect to win and then write us on Instagram talking about I did it, why didn't I win? You know why. So don't ask. All right?
Just prepare yourselves.
So we'll see y'all next episode.
Until next time, y'all, keep it real.